अस्तु इदानीं कूर्मावतारविषये किञ्चित् चिन्तयामः आगामी I can speak in English so that it's easier for you all to follow. But very soon we should move into a discussion phase where all these discussions are also in Sanskrit. So we'll be discussing about Kurmavatara in the upcoming Jnana Nidhi. So for that, a lot of information pertaining to this is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavata Purana, the Ashtama Skanda. The 8th skanda of Srimad Bhagavata Purana contains the information on this. So we'll be touching a little bit on that. So who's Avanti? Anu is Avanti. Okay.
Guru, it is my
Okay,
iPad,
okay,
my
okay.
daughter-in-law's iPad.
Okay. So we'll be going into the details of what's mentioned about this. So the way it goes is Nina Bhagini also there? So the way it goes is okay. We will be discussing about the Samudra Matana in this, because the entire episode happens during that time only. So the Bhagavata Purana actually gives like 3 or 4 chapters just to explain the details of what happens at that point of time. So we will be touching on a few aspects of that. We can't, because it's a very, very elaborate topic. We could only give some glimpse of what happens during that point of time. So Devas go to Bhagavan Brahma telling that, their situation is really bad because they are badly hit by the Asuras. So Indra, Varuna, everybody is lost all their, brightness, and they sought the refuge of Chaturmukha Brahma. At that point, Brahmadeva and everybody else, worship Bhagavan, and they say that, you have to come and rescue us of this plight. So at that point of time, there are some slokas which actually speak about, what kind of slokas was recited by Brahmadeva that has a lot of philosophical concepts in it. So it is very informative for us to know. But from the skit point of view, I don't think we could offer much because it's all about philosophy there. So after having started about it in the 8th skanda, it is in the 5th adhyaya of the 8th skanda, Bhagavan actually appears in front of the Chaturmurti, and he starts to speak to them. But his brightness is so much, like the way it is described in the Mahabharatam, when Bhagavan gave his darshana in the court of Duryodhana. Duryodhana comes to jail Krishna, and at that time he actually shows his Virat Rupa, but his brightness was so much that, the Kauravas, including Duryodhana, nobody could actually see him. They could only see the brightness. So that was the kind of description that is mentioned there. Only Bhishma and Vidura could actually see him. Everybody else just saw, a huge light, like what will happen if sun comes in front of us. So that kind of a description is there. They all just blacked out because of the brightness. So that kind of a situation happens here, where the Devas are not able to see Bhagavan. It is said that Rudra and Chaturmukha Brahma actually saw him, and they started, singing some of his glories at that point of time. So they, seeing the situation of the Devas, Bhagavan tells, okay, I know what you all are undergoing. And he gives some advice to them. Okay. So he says that very, very interesting concepts come about here. I'll explain some of the nuances which we can bring out. A lot of management learning also happens here. I have marked some slokas for you in my book. So I'll just tell you those sloka numbers also, so that it will be nice. Okay. So now the place where they all assembled was on the top of the Mount Meru. Meru Parvata we hear, right? So Brahmadeva is there. So all these Indradi Devas go there, and that is where they all worship. And Bhagavan comes there. And after coming there, he says that, all of you should delay no further. Um, you all have to get into action and get the Amrita so that it will do a lot of good for everybody around, says Bhagavan. Okay. So when he says that, some of the advices given to him can be so valid to us in our everyday life. So he says, Shukabrahma Rishi says, Bhagavan could have actually just helped out the Devas like that. Okay. But he involved everybody in order to do the Samudra Matana. So what Bhagavan says here is, go and get into a friendly treaties with the Asuras. So Bhagavan says this, go and befriend the Asuras, because you want to do such a marathon task. You cannot do it by yourself. You need the support of everybody involved. So get into, a treaties with Asuras. Now Indra is like, they are the ones who've been torturing us, because of them we are in this situation. How can we go talk to them, right? But because Bhagavan said, you have to go and speak to them, get into a good rapport with them, you can. And then he advises them that, the milky ocean is there. You need to churn it. Now let's just visualize, we have some curd and we have to churn it. So what are some of the things we require in order to churn? Okay, we need a churner. We need a rope or something to churn it. Traditionally they used to use a rope. Now we have some equipment where we use the hand, or, we just press it in order to get the best out of it, right? So Bhagavan says, as a churner, because it is the huge Milky Ocean. Milky Ocean is like, multiple times bigger than all the oceans we can ever see in Bhumi. So to milk that ocean, you need a huge churner. So he says, bring the Mantara mountain itself. That mountain can be used in the place of the churn. And we use the rope in order to churn it. The king of all the serpents, Vasuki, could be the rope in order to churn it. So he tells them how they should get the stars going. So he says, make all these ready. And I will help you all to get the Amrita, says Bhagavan. Okay, so that is the start of this entire thing. And he wants the Devas. Now, this is something which we should practice in our everyday life. Okay, so what Bhagavan says is, when this is churned, the halakala poison will be coming out. Okay, so don't be afraid of it. So basically, whenever we take some efforts, there can be poisonous or negative elements which we might have to face. He says, don't be afraid of it. Okay, so keep your motivation high. That's one thing. And then he says, so many other things will keep coming out when the churning happens. So two advices Bhagavan gives here is, don't get attracted to anything which comes out other than your objective. Don't get attracted to anything. Okay, that's the first point. The second advice he says is, don't get angry if that's not given to you. Okay, so two things is, don't succumb to your desire of wanting anything. Number two is, if you don't get whatever comes out, don't get angry, don't get annoyed. So kama, krodha, both these have to be under your check. You might face negative situations, handle it. So these are the advices which Bhagavan gives. So this sloka, I would want one of you to recite and explain the meaning itself, because this is, this is of paramount importance for each of us in our everyday life. Just think about it, if we can have our desires and anger under our control, and irrespective of situations, we are not going to succumb to the situation, the negativity of the situation. We are there, right? So this, I thought, would be a good thing for us to by heart and use in our skit as well as in our life. So one of you could actually recite it and explain the meaning. This sloka is there in the Ashtama Skanda, the 8th Skanda of Srimad Bhagavata Purana, chapter 6, 25th sloka. Nabetavyam kala kutad will be the starting of this. Okay, so this is one thing which I wanted to highlight here. So because Bhagavan said all these, and then he disappeared after telling this all in the bass, the thunder-like voice Bhagavan tells this, the beautiful explanation of how Bhagavan was shining with all his pitambara, everything is explained here. After that, he disappears. Now the Devas get into action. So they all go to meet the Asuras. One more very, very interesting thing to remember here is, in fact, Geeta Babu had asked me this question in YouTube after our Matsyavatara Chintana. So she had messaged in YouTube asking, like, is it true that the chronology of Avatara is like the Darwin's theory of, evolution? So, in fact, Raji did have that question in the sequence. I said, it is not true, so why take that question, So I said, like, we have very limited time because it is not really the evolution theory. Let's not take it up. So we didn't answer that question in the group. But I sent her a response in the YouTube itself there. So the thing is, when we read the Kurmavataram Jnana, that doubt will not appear. Because what is mentioned here is Indra and other devas now go to meet Bali Chakravarti, Mahabali Chakravarti. Now think about it. Who was Mahabali Chakravarti? He was the grandson of Prahlada. Right? So now Prahlada was blessed by Bhagavan, saying that I will not kill anybody in your dynasty. Therefore, Bali Chakravarti was not killed. Vamana Avatar also, he protected it. Now, in Kurmavatara, Indra goes and has a treatise with Bali Chakravarti. So is there a possibility that this avatara would have happened before the Narasimha Avatara? No, because Prahlada was a child in Narasimha Avatara. Bali Chakravarti is the grandchild of Prahlada. So definitely Kurma Avatara would have happened at a very, very different time. And this is not the sequence at all. So the sequence of Dasavatara is there in the sequence for a different reason and not as chronology of events.
Oh.
Right? So what are the different reasons? We will be discussing that as we progress with different avatars. In fact, I would like you all to introspect and come to different conclusions also. I have my deep thoughts on it. I'll discuss that as we progress. But yeah, so there is a possibility that, there are several reasons why this chronology has happened. Okay. So Kurma Avatara could have happened only after Prahlada was born because Bali Chakravarti is the grandson. So this is something that we have to understand here. So where does Indra go? Indra goes to Mahabali Chakravarti's place now in order to have this treatise. Okay. So that is one thing that we have to understand. And initially the Asuras are so wild, like, wow, all these devas are come here and they're not having any weapons or any army with them. Good time for us to rule over them. That's how they wanted to fight them. But then what happened? Bali Chakravarti, he is a very, very virtuous person. He says, no, they are coming here for a treatise. So let's welcome them. And then they say, okay, fine, we will accept whatever you say. And Bhagavan has already told Indra to accept whatever they ask for. Okay, he said, just go sign the treatise. Don't even worry about their conditions or anything. Just go ahead. So now everything is done. All of them are ready to go and do the Samudra Matana. At this point of time, they want to uproot the mantra mala from its roots, from the bottom, they want to lift it and bring it. All the devas, all the asuras, think about when we say humans, what is the kind of human population we have? So like that, the entire asuric population, the entire deva population, we say Muppattamu Kodi Devargal, right? 33 crore devas. Everybody come together to lift the mountain. It's not possible to lift it. So they walk with it to a distance and then keep it there, saying that, no, it's impossible to lift this mountain. It's way too heavy. So then Bhagavan comes in Garuda and then he lifts it, with the one hand he lifts it. He keeps it on Garuda. Garuda is now lifting, Bhagavan along with the mountain. They go into the Milky Ocean. And when all the devas and asuras are seeing, Bhagavan places it in the Milky Ocean itself. So that speaks about the greatness of Garuda at that point of time. which all of them together could not do. Garuda, happily dismounted it in the middle of the Milky Ocean. So then Vasuki, the great serpent, is brought in order to churn it. And they go and, tell Vasuki, we will give you also a portion of the Amrita. So please come and help us out. So he says, okay, fine, I'll also help you out. Give me also Amrita. So he accepts to the agreement. Now everything is set. So they want to start the churning. So at that point of time, Vasuki's head, Bhagwan also takes a role in this churning, and he takes the face of the Vasuki, and the Asuras are in the tail portion. Now, Asuras by nature have very high ego. So they say, why should we hold the tail? We are not something inferior. We want the head portion of it. So Bhagavan actually smiles and says, okay, you want the, head portion of Vasuki because that's where the poison is going to be sucked up. So Bhagavan initially thought, let him take the poison so that no harm will happen. But these people said, we want the poison. So, okay, fine, take it. So he gives the head portion to them and the tail portion now comes to the Devas. They start to churn it. Now, when the churning starts to happen, because it is an ocean, there is no base, right? If we want to churn curd, we need to put it in a vessel in order to churn it. Now here the vessel is the ocean itself, so there is no bottom there. So what happens? Everything starts to sink down. So they are churning, but the Mantara mountain is actually sinking down. And we all have seen how heavy and how huge it is, right? So what could be a vessel, to keep it on top of? Nothing was possible. So everybody were very, very disappointed, thinking that, all these efforts are a waste, because by then they've taken so much of efforts. Treaties with Asuras, treaties with Vasuki, bringing the mountain in place, worshipping Brahma, worshipping Bhagavan, everything has happened. So they were very, very dejected. So Bhagavan said, with my help, you can do it, right? So this is when the Kurmavatara actually happened. So Bhagavan took the rupa of Mahakurma. Mahakurma is like, it should be much bigger than the base of the mountain mantra, so that it could hold it in place. And he went to the base and lifted the entire mountain to its place. So this Mahakurma placed the entire mantra on top. Now Vasuki churning was happening. Both of them started to churn. And the sloka that I was teaching you in the previous class, in order to recite Swami Vedanta Deshika's stotra in Dashavataram, there what it is mentioned is, when this huge mountain is placed and all the devas and asuras are on either side and they are churning it, it looked as if somebody was scratching the back, in order to put him to sleep. It's like a small, mild massage, a soothing thing that was happening on the backside of Bhagavan, that he started snoring so deeply. And that breathing in and breathing out, that Vayu, the Prana Vayu, only from Bhagavan's Prana Vayu, this entire cosmic creation happens, right? So that Vayu creates the lives and protects every being. Let that Vayu protect us. So here the worshipping is for the breathing of Bhagavan. And Swami Vedanta Deshika says, let that Vayu, which creates waves in all the samsara, which protects all of us, let that Vayu protect us. So that is the highlight of the Kurmavatara, where Bhagavan happily started snoring because this huge mountain was on his back. He felt it like a massage that was happening. So that was the beauty that is mentioned there. So this is actually the Kurmavatara. If we are interested, we can take it a little further from this, because the churning happened and a lot of exciting things happened in this. I will tell you the story. You all can take a call of till where you want to do it actually. So what happened here is that thousands of yojanas. The yojana, I said, is like 9 miles and 11 yards, something like that, right? So the size of the kurma itself was like thousands of yojanas, mentioned the Bhagavata Purana. Okay. So this sloka of Kurmavatara is there in the 8th skanda, chapter 7, sloka number 8 and 9. So one of you could recite sloka 8, even if 9 is not there, it's still okay. Sloka 8 is the critical sloka here. Okay, is somebody noting this down so that we'll have a record of this? Okay, so that is the second sloka we could use here. So what happened is, like, now Devas and Asuras, they were initially dejected, but again Bhagavan helped them out. Now when the mountain sank down, they were dejected again. Again Bhagavan came as a Kurma Murti and gave them little more energy. Now what happened is, they needed a lot of strength in order to do the Samudra Matana. They were having a lot of strength, but they got tired because they did not see results. So they were getting a little more disappointed now. So what did Bhagavan do? He took the form of a Deva. He took the form as an Asura also. So Bhagavan himself became one Deva. Bhagavan became one Asura and added to both the sides of the teams. And he was with them in order to churn, in order to motivate whoever had a low ebb. He, enhanced their motivation. So he took roles on either side of it and now started churning. So when that churning was happening, everybody got a little more energy and they started performing well. So at that point, because Bhagavan's strength was there in churning, what happened? The Mandara mountain started jumping up. Now the base has a seat, but because of the pressure, the mountain started jumping out, and there was no cap on top, because of which again nothing could happen. So what happened now is, just the size of Mantara mountain, Bhagavan took the huge size like another mountain and sat on top of the Mantara mountain itself. So he is there below the mountain, he is there above the mountain, he is there as part of the Devas, he is there as part of the Asuras, and this entire churning is now taking place. Okay. In fact, those of you who know Tirupavai, in the last Pasuram, Andal says, right, Vanga Kadal Kadainda Madhavanai Keshavanai. There she speaks about Vanga Kadal. This is the Samudra Matana Leela that she's speaking about. So Madhavanai, because Mata Mahalakshmi comes out of this, he gets married to her. So he's called Madhava because he got married to Ma, who's Mahalakshmi. Keshava is the god who's sitting on top of this Mantara Mala. So why is he called Keshava? Because he's sitting on top and this Matana is happening. His beautiful Kesha is now getting opened, and with every churn, his hair is like moving this side and that side. The beautiful Kesha Pashatvat Keshava, his beautiful hairstyle is such a splendor for everybody to see there. So that darshana is, so beautiful to the eyes. Therefore, he's called as Keshava here. So he's sitting like one huge mountain on top of this Mantara itself. So he took that role. Now, how many Bhagavans are there? Just think about it in this situation. Now, after all this, what happens? Vasuki is now starting to, suck the poison out with every churning that is happening. Because Vasuki is sucking so much poison, the entire place is now getting heated up. And everybody's face is getting smoked. In fact, the Asuras are getting more smoked because they are in the face of the Vasuki. But the Devas are also like, filled with poisonous air everywhere and not knowing what to do. The place is so heated up, everybody is sweating profusely and all that. So Bhagavan looks at the clouds. Now the clouds start, to really get cloudy and they pour rain, they have good breeze. Therefore, all the poison and, the heat is actually getting suppressed. So he instructed the clouds on one side. So this was yet another thing that was happening. So as all these events were happening, the churning became a little more powerful. And now Vasuki was getting exhausted because she sucked out so much of poison. She's getting very, very tired, and she's been used as he actually is being used as a rope. So Bhagavan wanted to help out Vasuki. So he became the anesthesia inside Vasuki, so that Vasuki will not know the pain. So Vasuki antaha anesthesia, so that the feeling is not there. So that happened. So all these was happening. So Vasuki was also fine. And now the churning continued. And because everybody started becoming tired, Bhagavan earlier was in the Rupa of a Deva and a Rupa as a Asura, right? Now he comes to churn it by himself with all his 4 arms, and he starts to do the churning also. Okay, so with his Divya Vastra, the yellow color Pitambara, with his Chaturbhuja, everything, he starts to churn. When Bhagavan starts to churn, there is so much of intensity that thing starts to come out. That's when the results are actually seen. And the first thing that comes out is the Halakala Visha, like the way that Bhagavan had earlier told them. Now, this Halakala Visha, all the beings living in water, they get paranoid with it. The entire thing is filled with that poison. It's really hard to handle poison. So, because Bhagavan is already involved in, the churning and many other roles, all these Deva now run to Mahadeva. They are asking Rudra, please help us out, do something. And he's also been involved in the process right from the time of going to Vishnu, right? So he says, yes, we definitely have to do this for the good of all the beings. So he tells Uma, he tells his Devi that, we have to help them out. She instantly agrees that, Bhagavan is there, he's been taking care of everything. So do whatever is required for it. And he actually consumes that poison. That poison was so strong that even his throat became blue in color. It was such a great poison to even decolor the throat of Mahadeva. And it became a decorative ornament which shows the amount of love he has towards all the beings in all the worlds. So whenever we see the Nilakanta of Rudra, we can remember the kind of overwhelming affection he has towards the well-being of all the worlds. So that became his beautiful representation of consuming this poison. And when he consumed, just a small drop of it, just splattered in different places. And in the Bhagavata Purana, it is said that drop of poison which was splattered is now being distributed to all the poisonous beings in all the worlds that we are seeing. So that was the intensity of the Halakala Visha. So the scorpions, the serpents, and all other beings where the poison is seen is the distributed drop of that Halakala Visha. So that happens. Now, after this, so many things start coming out of that Samudra Matana. So the poison actually came out. After that, after that, Kamadhenu came out. Kamadhenu is the divine cow which can give anything that we want, right? So Kamadhenu came out. After that, Uchchaishravas, the divine horse, came out. Uchchaishravas was taken by Bali Chakravarti. Kamadhenu was Kamadhenu, Uchchaishravas. After that, Airavata, the four-tusked elephant, white elephant, that was taken by Indra. Then the Parijata Vriksha came, the wish-granting tree came out. And after all this, Mata Mahalakshmi came out. Now, when Mata Mahalakshmi came out, that is when we read the sloka, right? The Mahalakshmi Ashtakam, Indra Uvacha, Namastestu Mahamaye. So that is the explanation of how Mata Mahalakshmi came out during the Samudra Matana. A lot of these Apsara Stris came, so many other things. Dhanvantri finally came with the Amrita Kalasa. Dhanvantri is the god who is worshipped in Ayurveda, right? So he brings this Amrita Kalasa. And the moment he brought it out, all the asuras just snatched it away, and they said, nothing doing, we are going to have it by ourselves. Now, all these efforts taken by Indra, the Devas, are gone for a toss because asuras have snatched it. In fact, they did not even want to give it to their own team members who were not as powerful as them. So the dominating ones decided to have it by themselves. So these people again go to Sri Hari and ask him, look, we've taken so much of effort, you have to help us out. He said, don't worry, the Maya Shakti of mine will take care of that. And that's when he took the beauty embodified Rupa of Mohini. So Bhagavan took a feminine Rupa as Mohini, and everybody got so attracted. Bhagavan had already warned the Devas, saying, like, don't get attracted to anything till this process is completed, right? Now, all the Asuras, so engrossed with the Mohini Rupa, told her, whatever you say, we will obey your orders, your glance is enough, and all those statements. And Mohini, because these Asuras snatched it away from the Devas, they didn't want to give it to them, right? They didn't want a fair practice. So he decides that, I will just reflect what you did. I'm going to give it to Devas, not to you. So he started distributing. And after that, so many other things happened. So this is basically the concept of Samudra Matana. Our primary focus is on the Kurma Avatara for our Avatara Chintana. But we could go on till the Mahalakshmi, because all of you know about the Mahalakshmi Stotra told by Indra. So if you want, you could extend it till that and also recite the Mahalakshmi Ashtakam. Or you could keep that for a later time of Navaratri time. I leave it up to you. So this is the storyline, and these are the prominent slokas that we have to recite, along with the Kurmavataram sloka, which we learned earlier. So that is the essence of the whole thing. Any questions, discussions? We could have some questions which you all can put like the last time. And I will also have the Sukshma Vicharas, the learnings that we can have from this avatara. It's actually plenty from this avatara. So we could have that Chintana also on the Jnana Nidhi day. Any questions, discussions on this?
It's beautiful.
So, Guru, you said that it's not like Darwin's theory or leave Darwin's theory. We generally say Matsya Kurma Varahana, but then you're saying Narasimha Avadara comes, it's actually, if Prahlada is involved, then it is, the order is not exactly the same. So, why do we put it in this order when we narrate the avatarams?
Yeah, there are a multiple it's not the chronology of the avatars. It is not because of the sequence in which the avatara was taken, but there are several other reasons why the chronology is there. I want it to evolve as we progress with the avatars. As we are seeing each avatara, I want you all to come out with your own conclusions as to why it is sequenced this way. So,
I mean, it's coming from an animal stage to a human, half human, and it comes like that.
not really, ma. Not really like that. It's not.
Varaha, apro, Vamana.
Narasimha.
Narasimha. That is half and half. Half and half.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's not like that, because Narasimha would have happened much before the Kurmavatara. That's what I'm bringing to here. Also, at the same time itself, it is not only the Kurmavatara which Bhagavan had taken, right? He was there below it, he was there above it, he was there as an Asura, he was there as a Deva, he was there as a lady, everything was there. So, it is not Darwin's theory which is in place.
Okay. No, Darwin's theory.
So let's keep thinking, what is the sequence and all that. I do have my own perspectives. So once all of you also think about the perspectives, we'll have a discussion on that. It will be interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Guru, which shloka you said that we have discussed earlier? I don't remember any.
No, we've been teaching in the last two classes. We've been reciting the Shavatara Stotra, the Kurmavatara, right? Swami Vedanta Deshika's Matsyavatara we did earlier. Now we've been learning the Kurmavatara, the last two classes. We will recite it now.
Either you recite it or you send it on the WhatsApp also.
In the previous recording itself, it's there. The previous class also we've recorded it. Avyasur Bhuvanatrayi Manivritam Kantu Yanairadrina. Yes.
this one.
Yeah. Any other questions pertaining to this discussion which we had just now, on how you want to go about with it? What are the plans?
You explained it so beautifully.
Can I talk to Raj a little later, maybe in the day, and then maybe we'll just have one more meeting with some of us who are really going to be a part of it, and then take it further, because it's the first time we're really listening to the whole thing. I think we need time to, put it in the right perspective. I'm sure Raj will agree. So I think we'll meet a little later again, maybe in a day or two, but we'll post it.
Yeah. Because this is a very, very exciting Leela. The Samudra Matana is a very, very exciting concept. So you could decide, to keep it just till the Kurmavatara, or go ahead all the way till the Mahalakshmi. That is one option that you have. And the 2-3 slokas that we highlighted now, we can have. And Swami Vedanta Deshika's sloka we can have. And a few questions, you all can decide what you want to ask, so that we could have that like the previous time, Matsyavatara Chintana, we could have this Chintana also, followed by my thoughts connecting it to the Sahasranama and to the Sukshmamshas. That could be the flow.
Raj, would you like to say anything, Raj, at this point?
Neena, let's discuss. There's a lot of information buzzing in my head. Let's figure out what we can visually present, what would be shloka, and maybe that's something, instead of doing it here, it's already been a long morning for me. So maybe this afternoon sometime you take a time after 4 o'clock is okay. Is that okay?
All right.
You are in the middle of the Samudra only.
I know. Yeah, I'm still recovering from the poisonous fumes.
Lovely. So very nice. So let's catch up once you all discuss and take it forward. One other thing is that there was one song that I shared with Kalabagini. I was also thinking that that song is basically like the entire Samudra Matana Leela, which is I was thinking she could possibly sing like 2 lines before that particular thing comes up. So instead of narration, it could be a song which becomes the storyline itself, because the song explains the entire Samudra Matana Leela. So I shared it with her, asking her if she could do it. And that is actually in Tamil, but if you all are planning to do it, I could possibly rewrite it in Sanskritam, in the next few days. And we could do that also as part of this Leela. So that is one other thought that is there.
So everything can be represented in a tableau form. Like those 2 lines come and you can represent. Otherwise, Samudra Mantana to enact will be very difficult.
Yeah. So I have actually sent this to Kalabagini. I'm just looking at that. So yeah, but sorry.
You want that because it's you want that lyrics?
No, I have it with me. So so something like this had come up in that. Mandira Malai Mattu Vasugiyum Naru, something like that, So that part could be told at when we are coming to this side. And then Kadalum Sila Pala Undu, like a lot of things came out of the Samudra Matana. Kala Kala Vishamundru Kamadenu Adil Undru Madhavanai Mananda Konda Mahalakshmi Tayumundu, something like that. So what all are the things that came up? So that could be actually shown as a picture or something. So I was thinking the song itself could be a narration, because that would, one, shorter the time, second, it would be a very different approach. So that is one thing. So if we can do it, I will try to write it in some, if that could be.
Go ahead and do it anyway.
Hey, Neena,
Yeah.
I had a question for you. You sent me a couple of pictures about the potential location. Is that something we can talk about and what we can fit in there later on?
I can send the picture of the Kurma now to you, Neena, and to Guru.
No, I sent it already to Raj that day.
Okay.
Yeah. This is at Punga.
Yeah, Punga. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, nice place. But I just want to know what ideas you folks had. Let's discuss that offline.
as it is the plan, the way forward, the date is on the 30th of the month, right, Guru?
Yes.
And please finish it off with the Sanskritam that you need to do. This song kind of a thing is sounding very nice. And we will meet again with Raj and then we'll get back to you. Definitely we need a couple of days on this.
Sure. And Raj, when you're explaining this, right, usually where I find the gap is that, the size of this is not explained. The intensity of this avatara is never brought out. Samudra Mathana, we think as if it's like, churning the milk at home. It's not that, it is huge, that it is multiple worlds coming together. So it is not even an international treaty. It is like the interloka treaty that was signed in order to get this done. So that intensity and the different roles that Bhagavan took, because many times I keep getting the question, how can two avatars happen at the same time? How did Rama and Parashurama meet? But at the same time, Bhagavan has taken so many different avatars in Samudra Mathana. So those kind of things. Also, Bali Chakravarti was there. So these kind of rare things which people don't get to know, if we could highlight, right, that will be an eye-opener for people.
So, Praveena, one of the things what we need to do is, instead of talking about churning of the ocean, I want to start talking in terms of churning of the Milky Way. So people have an idea, it's not an ocean.
It's a galaxy.
It's a galaxy. It's a cosmos.
Universe.
It's not an ocean. We're using ocean as an analogy. So we are churning the cosmos. We are churning the Milky Ways. Something like that.
Are we? Is that the Milky Way that was churned? I thought it was the Par Kadal
planet. It's not. Our planet is too small, actually. What Praveena Guru is talking about is something unimaginably huge.
Yeah, but it was still the ocean, right? It was Kadal, Par Kadal, then it was not a constellation.
No, but Raji, the reason I specifically use the word Milky Way is to come up with the analogy for Par Kadal. Because when we say Par Kadal, we automatically assume it's an ocean, milk ocean. But I think from the scale, what Praveena described in the last 45 minutes, it's actually the cosmos, the Milky Way, or if there's such a name. So get out the ocean mindset, think into a Milky Way, various galaxies.
Correct, but what is actually the truth? We are not Steven Spielberg taking a movie, no. So, the Milky Way galaxy, illa Par Kadal, Kadal. I mean, I'm not talking of Bay of Bengal, but it has to be an ocean. I think it's an ocean. You want me to correct that?
Yeah. It is an ocean, but it is an ocean not like what we imagine. It is a ocean where people from different lokas could come and meet and still live in city.
That I can understand, but it is not a galaxy.
Yeah.
So that I would find difficult to accept.
So think of everything, and we could revisit or discuss any of the points that you all want, before we go into the actual Jnana Nidhi. All right?
Raj, I think it's a good idea to have a discussion over this on a Japanese lunch.
Yes. Perfect. Okay.
I'm missing all the fun sitting here.
Don't worry, we'll include you. You know what? We'll include you when you come here. Once you get all your vaccinations done. We have lots of plans for you. Don't worry.
Dhanyawadaha.
Okay.
So milamaha tarhi.
Milamaha.
Anantara milamaha. Namaste, Ram.
Ram. So, Nina, tell me what time is available after 4. I'm ready.
Namaste, Guru. Namaste.
Namaste.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Bye, everybody. I shall go and sleep now.
Yes.
No, I slept at 3. You got up at 3.
She's looking so fresh. Did you see? She's
looking so fresh.
I was busy discussing with Sushi from 1 to 2. 1 second Vibhakti, 4 Vibhakti.
Everyone was on their own journey in the night.
I'm in my own journey now.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Ram. Punar milamaha. Kalabagini.
Tell me.
இப்போ நான் என்ன தெரியுமா நினைச்சேன், இந்த பாட்டு வந்து இல்ல நான் போடும்போது எப்படின்னா I wanted to complete the entire Samudra Mathana Leela inga, and அது வெவ்வேறு டைம்ல தான் நம்ம பாட போறோம் இல்லையா? அதனால நான் வந்து ஒரு பேராகிராஃபையும் இன்னொரு I'll switch off the live ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம்.